My name is Marty Clark, and I'm an associate professor at Mount Royal University in the Department of Health and Physical Education. And my teaching tip is make sure that you're always making your class a welcoming and safe space for students. And I think you can do that in several ways. One of the ways I make sure it's a welcoming space is to use humor and jokes. So I'm always trying to make personal connections with students and have something in common, and then maybe have an ongoing joke with them. There's lots of students in a classroom. You can't do that with everyone, but I try and do that with as many as I can to make that space just welcoming, and they know when they get to class, I'll be there and I'll know a few things about them, maybe share an inside joke with them so that they'll feel comfortable when they're sitting in that space and engaging with the course content. It's also important to make that space not just welcoming for a few students, but make it welcoming for all students, and so that they feel welcomed, but also that it's a safe space for them to be themselves, share their identity if they so choose, and not have that be a target, and not have their professor or other students push back on who they are as a person. To that end, I always listen to students, listen to what they have to say, make that space welcoming so that they feel welcome to tell me about their experience in the classroom. I've had students in the past say that when I was teaching about colonialism, it wasn't working for them. And in particular, I'm thinking about one Indigenous student who said that to me, and I listened to them, and it actually made me change the way I teach, so that I wasn't just teaching to settler students who maybe had an experience like me, but teaching to all the students in the room, including Indigenous students, foregrounding lessons about residential schools and cultural genocide, that and naming it that, instead of sugarcoating it in a way that maybe would have worked for me as a settler student when I was an undergrad. So listening to students and taking what they say into account, and maybe even changing the way you teach. The impact goes beyond the classroom, right? That if we create welcoming and safe classrooms for students, and students have good experiences here and feel welcomed and safe while they're here, that the reach will go beyond Mount Royal, and prospective students will hear about those stories, right? From students that have had a good experience and feel like maybe they wouldn't have to worry about getting pushback from a professor about who they are or what their perspective is if it's a little bit different. And so I think the impact goes beyond Mount Royal and creates a reputation of Mount Royal and Mount Royal classrooms as welcoming and safe spaces for as many people as possible.